Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on Play on GAA with me, Seamus Brady, and today I have Matthew Hurley, the GAA Statsman, here with me to preview the All-Ireland Hurling Quarter Finals, which are taking place on the weekend between Galway and Cork, and then Clare and Wexford. Of course, these games very, very hard to call. Obviously, you've got two sides that were, of course, beaten in the provincial deciders, coming up against sides that obviously came out of the qualifiers, beating the Joe McDonagh Cup finalists. Matt, we'll go to Galway Cork first. And I mean, this game is really, really hard to call. I mean, you're talking the likes of, on the Galway team, the likes of Conor Whelan, who is in incredible form. And Cork on the other side started off the year so poorly and then really turned the corner against Waterford, in my opinion. And ever since then, they've been flying. Coming into this game, obviously, Galway off the back of that Leinster final defeat. Which team do you think is in the better space right now?
I would say, judging by Galway's poor performance in that Leinster final, like all we were talking about was the Henry Shefflin handshake. Like that tells you how poor of a game that was. I think Cork are going in as favourites. That might be a biased opinion, but most people actually think that because we've won the last three games against Tipperary and Waterford. Antrim, I think the game will actually stand to us. Like Antrim are tougher than people think. There's a tough place to go, Corgan Park, and the players actually stood up and faced the fight. For Galway, as you said, Conor Whelan has been excellent. Keelan Fahy has been very good in the championship, but it's a boost now. He's returning for the game. Well, I don't think we said it off air would be make or break for Galway, but he still is a valuable part of the Galway team. When you look at Cork, Patrick Horgan obviously is the chief scorer, but Conor Lehan has really impressed me this championship. 125 after coming back from being dropped last year, and he's come back after his form for Middleton, and he's been absolutely outstanding in this championship. Alan Connolly, a goal getter, 4-4 in the championship. Like he is a main threat and will be one to keep an eye on Saturday. Seamus Hardney, another excellent player, very experienced as well. Darragh Fitzgibbon, very good in midfield. Kieran Joyce has really settled in at centre back. So I think Cork are going in very good form, and the players are going in performing very, very well. You look at Galway, for example, like Conor Cooley's their top scorer, but he's only scored a few from play, so that's pretty poor from him. Joseph Cooley's the guy I'd be looking towards. 215 from play from midfield. He's been absolutely excellent. Cathal Mannion, another underrated player. Tom Monaghan. So, and they do have Jack Hastings coming off the bench as well. So Galway have a good few players. The benches, I think, will be interesting. Like, there's a few young players on both sides, but it'd be interesting to see who has the better impact. Like, it'd be interesting to see if Shay Barrett starts at the bench for Cork, or does he start the game itself. You look at Galway, like Jack Hastings, as I mentioned, could come onto the pitch. Like, looking at it on paper, I think Cork probably have the stronger bench, but then again, it depends on if Shane Barrett starts, if Alan Connolly starts, if all of them start. We'll have to see. But I'm really looking forward to this game, Shane. It should be a cracker in Thurles.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And you were mentioning about the Galway forwards, and you were mentioning about the Cork forwards that are flying. For me, it'd be fascinating to see who picks up who. Like, who will Sean O'Donoghue go on to Conor Whelan? Then on the flip side, who's going to pick up, Conor Lehan? Will that be left to Jack Grealish, or will Daithí Burke go on Seamus Hannity? It's so interesting to see who will match up to who. Hannity's a bit of a weird one in that I can see him going to centre forward. I can see him going to wing forward. I can see him going to full forward. I feel like Daithí Burke, the fact that earlier on in the league and earlier on in previous championships for Galway, they experimented with McInerney at fullback and Burke at centre back. I think that will actually stand to them well, because maybe they can just man mark and let Burke stick to Hannity wherever he goes. Patrick Horgan, does he start? He's played pretty okay. He obviously broke the championship all-time top scoring, but he's not as sharp as he's been in previous seasons. Then on the flip side, you got a lot of lads for Cork that haven't really made their stamp yet on the championship that have in previous seasons. I'm thinking the likes of Jack O'Connor, who was massive for Cork last year in the championship, and he hasn't really featured or been at his best in the championship this year. So you never know. This could be a game where he could come in and make his stand. The key area that I'd like to point out is a lot of changes have happened over the last few years in the Cork midfield. And you obviously mentioned about Joseph Cooney, the form that he's in midfield for Galway, and then the strength that they have around there as well. You're talking Johnny Cohn, David Burke, the experience that he has. And then Ronan Glennon is another one that really impressed me during the league. He could get some minutes as well. How does that Cork midfield best in terms of their chances? How do they stand up to that Galway midfield?
Well, it's funny because Cork midfield has been settled over the last few games that we've won. Like Darragh Fitzgibbon has been the attacking outlet, and Luke Meade. As much as I don't think Luke likes the job, but he sits back in front of the defence. He minds the defence really well and allows Darragh to do his thing around the middle of the field. I think that's excellent. They complement each other really well. At the start of the season, actually, we were, I think, playing Mark Coleman midfield, Kieran Joyce midfield, and it didn't work. We put Kieran Joyce out centre back. We put Mark Coleman wing back. I think that's a masterstroke from Kieran Kingston. Another, like, the two midfielders are going to be key on Saturday. But another interesting aspect, you mentioned Patrick Horgan. Does he start? The guy to replace him the last time, Tim O'Mahony, that was his first start in the forward line. So I'll be very interested to see, does he actually start there or does he go back to wing back? I'm not entirely sure. Tim O'Mahony, he's been excellent in the forward line over the last few weeks, but this will be a main chance for him. It was his first start against Antrim, which, like Antrim, no doubt about it, they are a tough team. But at the same time, like, if you're going to prove it against the likes of Galway or Kilkenny going down the line, well, not Kilkenny, we're going to play Limerick if we win this game, most likely. So if we're going to play Limerick, maybe Tim needs to settle into that position against the bigger sides. We'll have to see about that over the next few weeks. But yeah, David Callahan is another interesting one. Like, he could start wing back. He has done it in the league over the past few seasons. Like, he started quarterback the other day. I don't think it's his best position. I think wing back's probably his best position. So I think he'd be more suited to number 5. Robert Downey has been one of the best fullbacks in the country over the last few years. I hope he stays there though on Saturday. Sean O'Donoghue, Pat Collins is another interesting one. He's saved Cork so many times over the last few years. So look, we have a very good spine there in the back line. We have a very good midfield. And no matter what threat Joseph Cooley possesses for Galway, I'm sure he does possess a lot of threat. I think Cork are well equipped to deal with that.
And yeah, you mentioned about obviously Robert Downey at fullback there. You know, with the obvious aim, you were saying there earlier in the year about Darragh O'Leary and potential other candidates there to go into fullback. Callahan obviously is someone who's played for Cork there, fullback over the years. Like, going into the latter stages of the championship, we saw Downey play against Seamus Flanagan in that final and just be done for pace. Do you think that there's a potential there, if Galway managed to get Conor Whelan on Robert Downey, that there's a potential, you know, a similar situation could occur?
Maybe so, definitely. Yeah, but I suppose like that was Robert Downey's first year at fullback, like in a big stage. So you would hope now he's learned his lessons from the Limerick game last year, which was, to be honest, it wasn't just Robert Downey, it was the whole team that really capitulated that day. So yeah, you know, it has to be a learning curve for this Cork team, for the learn from that. But I'm confident they will. No doubt Conor Whelan is an excellent forward. You look at Brian Kilcannon, he hasn't really lit up in this championship so far, and he could do now on Saturday. We'll have to see. Like, Tom Monaghan's been excellent. Like, there is pacey players in that Galway team. But I'd be hoping now that Cork have improved and learned from the lessons last year against Limerick, because if they didn't learn from last year, how are they going to learn at the same time, you know? So it'd be interesting to see if they have. If they haven't, I'd be really worried for Cork Hurling going forward. But yeah, Conor Whelan could have Robert Downey at toast, but I'd be hoping Robert will learn his lessons from last year.
Yeah. Having taken it all into consideration, I've made my decision. I think Cork are going to win this one. I think Cork are in the better place. Kilkenny are coming fresh off a provincial defeat in a game that really would have mattered to them. I mean, Henry really would have wanted to have won that game, for the rivalry with Cody, for everything that would have been on the line in that game. He really would have wanted to win that one. And there's something in Galway that I don't see them having the same bottle that other teams have. They fell apart coming towards the end of the Wexford game, and then they really didn't turn up in the Leinster final to the same level that they have in other games. And that was a game with a lot of pressure on it. This game, there's a lot of pressure on it. Cork are a bit further ahead in their development under Kingston. Like, they're a bit more, they know who they are. They've got the likes of Shane Kingston. They got the likes of Conor Lehan. They got the likes of Horgan, Seamus Hannity. They've more threat, I think, than Galway do. Galway, you could argue, maybe have a better defence, as in they're more solid at the back. I think Cork have more match winners around the pitch than Galway do. So I'm going to go with Cork to win this one. The momentum that they're on, you know, the corner that they turned, and then beating Waterford, beating Tip, like, it's impressive. And beating Antrim the way they did, that was a tough game. So I'm going with Cork. Narrow enough victory, but yeah, the Rebels for me. And yourself?
Yeah, I'd have to go with Cork. Everything you said there, I agree with. I just think Galway are a bit lightweight, and for years now I haven't rated Leinster hurling as highly as Munster hurling. Like Munster hurling is nearly the pinnacle. Cork have performed well against Waterford, who were excellent at the start of the year. Most people seem to forget it. Tipperary, they outplayed them. No matter how bad Tipperary were, to go to Semple Stadium and outplay them, that's some achievement by this Cork team. And they're coming in the right vein of form at the right time. And I think this Cork team could explode now on Saturday and go to Croke Park in the semi-finals. And let's not forget, the double could be still on for the Cork hurlers and footballers, so watch this space.
Yeah. But yeah, you're absolutely right. There's no Leinster counties won the All-Ireland since Galway did it in 2017, like no finalists since 2019. So you can't, numbers don't lie. And these we're overdue an All-Ireland final appearance. I think Kilkenny probably the most likely team to do that. Another Leinster team hoping to do that is Wexford. They go into their quarterfinal against Clare. Now, over the last few years, of course, the rivalry was a lot around Brian Lohan and Davy Fitzgerald. Davy's gone. He's no longer Wexford manager. Darragh Egan has come in. He's had a weird year, a really, really weird year. He comes in, he gets slapped up by Dublin in the pre-season competition. Then they have a great league campaign, and then they get annihilated in the league semi-final by Waterford. Then they draw to Westmeath and look like they're potentially on the brink of getting dumped out of the Leinster Championship after also losing to Dublin. Then they go away to Nolan Park against all the odds and beat Kilkenny. And now they find themselves in this quarterfinal against Clare, a Clare side who have been magnificent, topped the Munster round robin, and then gave Limerick as good a game as they've ever had. I mean, 3 games between these two sides. The last 3 games have all ended in draws. You can't ignore that. And yeah, now coming into this side, I think Clare aren't as consistent as Limerick. I think there's an argument there that they raise their game whenever they play the champions. Wexford, though, are as inconsistent gets. So this is a really hard one to call. What's your stance on it?
It's interesting, actually, they were recording this on Thursday morning, because last night, before around 5 or 6 o'clock last night, I would have said Wexford have a huge chance in this game. But now that Peter Duggan and Rory Hayes are coming back into the team, I don't know, is it the right decision? But at the same time, it was wrong on what Shay Downey did in the Sunday game, and maybe it was right for them to come in, considering most people have got away with these suspensions. So they're back in the team now. Rory Hayes is imperative for Clare. He's been arguably the best quarterback in the country so far. Peter Duggan has been so crucial to Clare coming back for Australia. So them coming back into the team, you'd have to put Clare on the horse again as being favourites for this game. And Wexford, it is a very weird one. Like in the league, they were excellent. They were flawless at times, other than that Waterford semi-final where they played in Nolan Park. But other than that, they were excellent. Against Kilkenny, they were excellent. But then they drew against Westmeath in a really shambolic performance by Wexford standards. And then against Dublin, I thought there was not enough drive in them. Galway might have performed, well, to be honest, I didn't watch the full game, but most people watching the full game would have said Galway should have won the game. So Wexford did get lucky to get that draw as well. Look, it is a really tough one to call. You don't know how the Munster final would have affected the Clare players at the same time. Will they be absolutely gutted after losing such a titanic battle? Or will they go into this game full of drive, full of promise, and trying to beat Wexford? I'm not sure. I don't, as you mentioned there, with the Davy Fitz and Brian Lowe, the same drive isn't there between the two sides, maybe. There could be an argument there. But Darragh Egan will rile them up nonetheless. Lee Chins perform excellent. Conor McDonald, they perform well against Kerry. Well, to be honest, Kerry are a bit below Wexford. Still, Wexford have to play what's in front of them. They got the job done in the end pretty easily. So fair play to Darragh Egan and his players for that. You look at Oisin Pepper, Oisin Foley. I'll be interested to see how much the game they play. There's some very good young players in that Wexford team. But yeah, very interesting game. Most people would say Clare would be odds-on favourites to win it. But even with Rory Hayes and Peter Duggan back, I think Wexford still have a good chance of winning it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said there. Personally, I am going with Clare to win this game. I think Clare have just shown something that not any other county has shown, and that's an ability to really, really compete with Limerick. And to me, that puts them as number 2 for the All-Ireland, because who's the most likely to beat Limerick? It's Clare. So for me, that's whoever beats Limerick will win the All-Ireland in my mind. So look, you can't ignore other things. The fact that they dropped so many key players, including Tony Kelly, and still beat Waterford out the gate. I mean, the same Waterford side that absolutely stamped all over Wexford in that league semi-final. So Wexford is so hard to call. You don't know what version of them is going to turn up. Rory O'Connor's form is crucial as well. He was magnificent throughout the league campaign, and a massive reason as to why Wexford were so successful at the start of the league. Lee Chin's form, he was an absolute leader in that Kilkenny game, and he really drove them on it at key points in the game. His form is massive as well. Presuming that you go for Clare to win this game, which I am assuming that you are, how do Wexford win this game? How do they go about it? Obviously, key matchups. You're talking who picks up Tony Kelly, who picks up Peter Duggan. Shane O'Donnell's been magnificent. He was just named Hurler of the Month. David Fitzgerald at midfield as well. I mean, has been magnificent throughout the championship. And then what weaknesses can Wexford potentially get at in the Clare backline?
I think what Wexford needs to win this game is a fast start. As I mentioned before, you don't know what Clare, the Munster final, how it affected them. Maybe they'll come in with a bit low confidence after trying so hard against Limerick. So that's why I think it's crucial for this Wexford team to start off really well. And look, I think you mentioned the matchups being important in the backline, which it is. I think the forwards is just as important. Like if Conor McDonald is on form, if Rory O'Connor is on form, if all of them are on son, Wexford could cause a shock here. You mentioned Davy Fitz in midfield, the other Davy Fitz, of course. Dermot O'Keefe, I think, is an excellent player for Wexford. He has been over in 2019, especially. He hasn't found the same vein of form over the last few years, but this is the game to really ignite his performance, I think. You look at the half forward, you look at Lee Chin, I think he's crucial. He has to nail nearly every free. In fairness, he did over the last few games, especially against that Kilkenny team as well. You look at Matt O'Hanlon at centre-back is a very good player. Conal Flood will be interesting to see if he starts. Damien Rick and Simon Donoghue, the two cornerbacks, actually seem to score a lot. So from long distances. So it'll be interesting to see if they get that much space against Clare. Let's not forget, you mentioned the league form. Clare trashing Waterford in the Munster round robin, and Wexford losing pretty heavily in the league. Let's not forget, Wexford beat this Clare team in the league in Cusack Park. So look, everything's possible. Like you look at this Wexford team, I think the forwards, the defence, the midfield, and most of all, to get a fast start. Something like Armagh against Donegal last week. Get a fast start in the game, and that could set you up to try and counteract and try and win the game. Look, it will be tough for Wexford. I obviously go for a Clare win as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if Wexford hit the same form as they did in that league game in Cusack Park as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything that you said there. And then for me anyway, what puts Clare above Wexford in terms of, coming into this game is the forwards that Clare have. I mean, they've got 6 forwards that are just dangerous. And then even into the bench, they've got, Robin Mounsey, you've got Shane Meehan who came in there, just absolute talent, such talent in that Clare forward line. Peter Duggan, you've got Shane O'Donnell, Tony Kelly, just match winners everywhere. And on the flip side for Wexford, while they do have the likes of Oisin Foley and Oisin Pepper, it's still reliant on Rory O'Connor, Lee Chin and Conor McDonald, very heavily so, to come up with the vast majority of the scores. So if Clare can shut them down, which they have Rory Hayes to go on one of them, they have, David McInerney potentially to go on another one. Like they have the players to man mark these guys. So that's where I think there's more limitations in Wexford's scoring ability than there is in Clare's. The fact that Clare kept pace with Limerick is massive. So look, going into this one, that's where I give Clare the edge on Wexford in terms of they can neutralise Wexford's scoring threats better than Wexford can neutralise Clare's scoring threats. But where would you kind of see Clare as having the edge on Wexford?
It's interesting you mentioned the bench there. I was actually hearing from a Clare fan last night. Shane Meehan isn't going to be part of the panel because he's injured. But an interesting fella that's coming back now, Aidan McCarthy, could be coming back into the panel on Saturday. He's a huge player for Clare if he comes back into it. I mentioned there Oisin Pepper and Oisin Foley, but then again, like, who else is there for this Wexford team? Like, if Ross Banville came up through the ranks, maybe he'd have a go at the bench. But
Paul Morris, maybe.
Paul Morris, experienced player. He's only scored 1 point in the championship, though. So, he has to score more, definitely. But I definitely agree with you, Clare. Even wrote Shane Meehan on the bench. Robin Mounsey, I think, is an underrated player. I think he's been excellent. Even the league campaign, he scored a few points against Cork and Parky Queeve. So, yeah, I agree with you. Clare have the stronger bench. I think that'll be the edge over Wexford. But Oisin Pepper and Oisin Foley, don't write them off at your peril because they're very good young players to come on. They both score goals in this championship. Maybe not Pepper. I think he scored the league. Definitely not in the championship. Oisin Foley obviously scored that goal against Kilkenny. It'd be interesting actually to see if they start, the both of them. Like, we'll have to see about that. But yeah, I'd probably go for Clare because of the bench they have. And if Aidan McCarthy comes back, that will ram home our point even more.
Yeah, no, 100%. So we're going for a Munster sweep. We're going for Cork to beat Galway, and we're going for Clare to beat Wexford. That's the match previews here on Play on GAA, guys, from myself and Matt Hurley, the GAA Statsman. We hope you enjoyed. Until next episode, guys, here on Play on GAA. Take care.